I gave people all the stuff they really needed. Social Security checks, utility bills, TV guide.
I want a TV guidance counselor. TV guidance counselor. Staying up to watch all night, and everything's gonna be alright with my TV guidance counselor.
Hey everybody, welcome. Ken Reed here, your TV Guidance Counselor on the show TV Guidance Counselor, the show where each and every week since February 14th, 2014, I've welcomed an interesting person to the, in this case, virtual studio, in the last 5 years, virtual studio, to discuss classic television from my personal collection. Well, yeah, that too. I'm very distracted this week, guys. I don't know. I hope you're doing okay. There's, oh boy, a lot of stuff going on. Not a lot of great stuff, but the spring is almost here. We're in spring. Summer is coming, and the weather is nicer, so that's good. Speaking of which, if you're in Massachusetts and you're in Martha's Vineyard, I'll be there on May 29th with Christian Finnegan doing comedy. So come to that show if you're there. I've never actually been to Martha's Vineyard, despite growing up in Massachusetts and being a Jaws fan. But anyway, as I meant to say before, this is the show where we discuss classic television using back issues of TV Guide magazine from my personal collection as the inspiration for our conversation. And this week's guest is Brandon Jones, also known as Pops. He has a great YouTube channel. It's BJ Pops, I believe, is the YouTube thing. I'll put a link in the show description here. It's at Pops, or B Jones Pops. Is him on the social media, but the youtube.com/at Pops is his channel. Discusses all the kind of things you like if you listen to this channel and watch the things we often discuss. Super nice guy. I was introduced to him by David Weiner from the In Search of In Search of Documentaries, who had been on Pop's podcast. I also appeared on his channel last month, so there's an interview with me on there. You can find that on the channel. It's very fun. But again, I'll put a link in the show description here. Go check out his channel. It's very fun. You cannot go wrong if you like this podcast. You will like his channel. Anyway, I'm having difficulty speaking today. Hope you're doing all right. If you have other guests you would like me to try to get on the show, or YouTubers, or anyone you think might be interesting, you can email me at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@icanread.com. Or if you have as little as $5 a month or more, is that how I would say that? As little or more? I have no idea. You can go on Patreon, patreon.com/TV Guidance Counselor. And if you had that $5, you would get a PDF of the TV guide that I discuss with Pops here on this week's episode. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, Brandon Pops Jones.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Live from the darkest continent of parts unknown in Central Florida. I thought it didn't make any sense, but it sounded right at the time. Pops, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. And I think all of Florida may be known as like the dark continent at times by certain folks. So it's totally fine. But yes, I do live in the middle of nowhere, for those of you who don't know. And it really super cool to just talk some cool TV and just old school stuff with you, my friend.
Did you grow up in Florida?
Mostly, yeah. So
okay.
Midwest kid, Indiana, brief stint in Texas, came here when I was 8, turned 9 that year, and been here ever since.
In that part of Florida? Like that central?
No, not at all, no. So went to school at a different part of Florida, went to college near Tampa, lived in Tampa a large part of my life, moved. We were those crazy people that made major life changes during the pandemic and moved 5 counties away. So yeah, a lot of life changes.
Well, I bring it up too because like Florida, in some ways, like Boston, and I've talked about this on the show briefly before, is in the 80s and 90s, we always had a show, and actually even the 70s, if you have Flipper, that shot in our state. Mm. So like Florida had, I think it was Flipper in the 60s, 70s. You had Miami Vice in the 80s. I can't think of what the 90s show would be, but then you got Burn Notice. Like there's, for somewhere that isn't New York or LA, there's like a pretty good production infrastructure there from these shows that just shot there for like 10 seasons each.
Yeah, and a lot from like 70s and earlier that I couldn't even list. I know Creature from the Black Lagoon had a large segment that was done here. A lot of Tarzan stuff that had been done here. And just a little feather in my cap, I'd done work with the prop shop at the university that I went to. It's kind of like one of those things that you can do to get other French benefits when you're in school.
Yeah.
And the really bad Cop and a Half movie was filmed right in our hometown. They sent people over to rob our prop department to fill some apartment sets and things of that nature. So those feelers are all around. Edward Scissorhands was actually filmed in my girlfriend's neighborhood. Was able to be on set and meet. I met, Tim Burton and Johnny Depp, Dan Weiss, all these different folks. They filmed in a couple different locations around Tampa. That was a really cool experience for sure. So there's several of those stories. But yeah, Florida's got a little bit of a footprint in the industry for sure.
One of my favorite Christmas movies of all time, Ernest Saves Christmas. Not being ironic, shot in Orlando.
There you go.
And you're not a huge horror guy, but Fred Olen Ray is from Florida and worked on the movie Shockwaves there, which I don't know if you've ever seen that, with Peter Cushing and the underwater Nazi zombies. So that might be the best horror film shot in Florida, I think. So there are connections there. But the issue here you picked, you sort of reverse engineered the week because you wanted the premiere of Fantasy Island. And this is the premiere of the series. So the year before, it aired as a made-for-TV movie that I guess technically was a failed pilot for the show. And then this one that we picked, which is January 14th to the 20th, 1978, I believe, is the sort of second pilot movie for
Return to Fantasy Island. Yeah.
Yeah. That sort of kicked off and then the series regular kicked off the week after. And this issue of TV Guide always fascinated me because it's such an incongruous cover in that it's January. So they're covering like the Super Bowl.
It's the first really big televised Super Bowl as well. This is the reason why I like this issue. I remember this very vividly, and we can talk about that in more detail, that sports was such a big deal in our family. And even though I was really young at the time, I was 7, turning 8 that year, I remember very vividly. And actually, this game is actually on YouTube, folks. I actually just didn't think it was going to be the case. And I was like, oh, man, I can actually watch this at like 1.5 speed and get get the... Man, I do remember parts of this. So that was cool. And then the other thing for me was how I would get in trouble to trying to... I don't know why my bedtime would be... I don't think it was on late, but to watch Logan's Run, the TV show. And I think my family knew the film had some nudity or some racy concepts or something.
Yeah. Well, Jenny Agutter is nude in the film.
Yeah, so I was not allowed to watch the TV series. I'd always be in trouble. But this issue encompasses 3 or 4 of those things. Fantasy Island was a huge... I can't remember if it was my mother or my grandmother, but it was like regular viewing. Love Boat, Fantasy Island, that type of stereotypes, of course. But I thought this issue represented that transition for me as well, from post-Star Wars kid becoming very, very TV and entertainment obsessed, for sure.
And this is sort of, to your point, in that post-Star Wars year, that's the reason we got a Logan's Run TV show, even though the movie was, 1974? Five. So it had been a while. They would not have made that TV series were it not for the success of Star Wars. I don't think. They were like, what properties do we have that are vaguely similar that we could throw on the air? And weirdly, there's a great Charles Addams original cover for this issue, which when I think Super Bowl, I definitely don't think Charles Addams. It's a werewolf or something playing the Super Bowl. It's great.
It's very disconnected from even their coverage of the Super Bowl inside, which we can get to whatever that is of an article. I don't even know what they were trying for, right. But the cover is very memorable. If you see the cover, you'll never forget it. I would like to correct you a little about Logan's Run, because we just did a Talk Hard podcast on that, and actually they greenlit Logan's Run before Star Wars. So, and it was because of the success of Westworld. Westworld had done, makes sense. Yeah. So Westworld had done enough, because this had been an on-again, off-again film project, book adaptation, and they just couldn't, I think, find all the really pieces and whatever, and then it just kind of fell into place post-Westworld. So it came out 2 years before Star Wars, And I've been down that rabbit hole of that 70s sci-fi a bit. And I have, every time I think I'm getting a lot of things off the bucket list, I'll find 5 more that I haven't watched in so long I need to watch again. Like, I think I added Coma. I'm in the middle of doing the Last Man on Earth, Omega Man, and then I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Like Journey with
favorites.
another person. Just so this issue has a lot of fun ties to a lot of different things in not only television but obviously in cinema as well.
Yeah, to set, this is a larger topic, which we would have to get too into, but like the 70s sort of setting for popular culture, sort of even pre-Star Wars, there's a lot of sci-fi, a lot of dystopian sci-fi, because we're getting a lot of that, like, environmentalism is just kind of starting. You get movies like Soylent Green and Zero Population Growth and, Phase 4, and all these like really kind of grim apocalyptic movies. And we're also in the heart of the Chariots of the Gods sort of post-hippie obsession with sort of remote viewing and ESP and all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of this very interesting mixture of stuff that's in pop culture at the time that sort of managed to sort of get absorbed by the sort of television environment, for better or worse.
Sure, you have Michael Crichton's influence, can't be denied. Of course, all the work that he does. Andromeda Strain, Westworld, Future World are groundbreaking films with what they were doing with graphics and concepts. Then when you add in just the general, I think, appeal for folks of like Alien Autopsy, and then just crime and horror stuff was trying to find a lane. Like, it didn't quite know. That's when you ended up with like that Night Stalkers TV movies, which I have rewatched again. And you're in large part to credit and blame for that. I love video that follows up on that in the next few weeks. And this guy does have a movie that I would watch, and I did watch it again. And I asked my wife, and it's just called Bug. It's a 1975 film called Bug. It's a whacked out film, folks. If you've never seen cockroaches,
it's William Castle, I think, that did Bug, right? Is it William Castle?
Yeah, Bug is. Yeah, it is. It's actually not bad for a few minutes, and then once the latter half of this movie. But I was talking to her about like my brain's not broken, right? We grew up with like this obsession of like killer ants and killer bees and killer cockroaches, and like, so there's a lot of odd esoteric things that were kind of culminating between movie and TV in this era for sure. So 100%.
Yeah, that sort of post 50s like atomic fear was like more Nature Strikes Back. So you have like Kingdom of the Spiders and it's Bugs, the one where they like burst into flames, right? They're like pyrotechnic
there's a really couple
cockroaches.
Good shots in the first half of the film. There's a couple of really good shots for like the ones on her ear, and it's like really kind of creepy, and it's like, wow, for a pretty low budget movie. And then, of course, the latter half of the movie just derails into just absolute waste of our time. However, the first part of that movie is actually not too bad.
I have a one sheet for that somewhere in my basement, and it's a great poster. It's like this person screaming with this like bug on fire on their neck. And you're like, I have to go see that. I don't know. I don't need to know anything else. I'll go see that movie. So let's dive in here. I do have to mention, aside from the 2 cigarette ads for Benson and Hedgen and Kent right away, this might be the first time I remember seeing this in a guy that I've covered on the show, but there's the classic Draw Tippy ad.
Yep.
Which everybody knew this thing. It had TV commercials, and it was like a art correspondent course that they kind of framed as a contest. And I don't remember if it was a scam or not, but I feel like a ton of people all did this thing where it's like, if you can draw Tippy, you might win something and get a scholarship to this art school.
Yeah, and I don't remember any engagement with the Draw Tippy thing, except for the fact that my grandfather had this sort of like incredible hidden art talent. And he would take these Draw Tippy concepts to try to encourage us to draw. And then it always transitioned into this game, and I've never forgotten it because I still do it with my grandkids, where like he would just make like a mark. It's like you had to take it and then like turn it into something visual. And he was always like a master at this from this sort of like Draw Tippy concept, I guess. But that one actually, again, when I was sharing my wife the selected TV guide, that was something else we were discussing was, man, whatever happened to the Draw Tippy thing? That didn't even make it to our kids' generation. It was a pretty short-lived thing, I guess. I don't know.
The last I remember, they it was TV ads probably till like the mid 80s, I feel like was the last time I saw it. But yeah, it was ubiquitous. Like I don't think a day went by where I didn't see a print ad or a TV ad for the Draw Tippy thing. There's got to be like a good like 5-part crime drama documentary series about like some like thing they could uncover about the Draw Tippy thing. Cause it is very strange. Then we have Robert McKenzie's review for the show Title Search, which I have never heard of. It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, this didn't get me anywhere on any of that. I just kept turning pages. I was like, okay, that's a Celica. Yeah. It doesn't even look like a Celica to me. I just kept looking, wow, that's a lot of money on a whole big Celica ad. It's a huge ad.
Double page spread in the biggest print magazine in the world in 1978. That was not a cheap ad.
Yeah.
Never owned a Toyota. But then we have a Florida specific article where this is one of the first televised cases in like a regular court, like not like a congressional hearing or anything like that, was this murder trial in Florida. And it's Rodney Zamora. I believe this is the one where he said that like a demon made him do it. He killed an old lady, which I think they made a TV movie about it later. He was made insane by years of addiction to violent TV shows, in quote, involuntary subliminal television intoxication. Yeah. And it's really fascinating because they kind of go over that, like, is that a thing? Which the whole like violence in video games and TV is not a new discussion. This is almost 50 years ago. And just the concept of, is it okay to put cameras in the courtroom? Because it's like, is it making this entertainment? Or is it truly making it something accessible for like everybody to see because it's a public thing? Which I think we landed on probably was a bad idea.
Yeah, because you're making them a quasi-celebrity, at least in some way, shape, or form. And we know that even like crazy serial killers have had like mass numbers of fans who will interact with them and send them stuff and whatever. Mm-hmm. So we know that is sort of like, just because, again, the gajillions of people that will have the exposure, you're eventually going to get a few crackpots anyway. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it is an interesting article in the concept of, it's hard to rewind your brain, especially with today's rule with streaming. I would love to have, seen how that will age in the next 50 years of like, wait, they did what? Like that was the first time. Like now there's whole document. You actually usually have to ask a person which Dahmer documentary did you? There's so many documentaries and information now. You can't even parse out which thing are you talking about.
Is it the sexy Dahmer one that you were talking about, or it's like some bizarre. And this is very, very interesting this early. And then another cigarette called More that I've never heard of. Yeah. Then we have the Gadget Man, Stan Khan, the Gadget Man. Although I wonder if it's pronounced Can, so that it rhymes.
I was thinking it was probably pronounced. I actually just earmarked this as the look up of Stan Can, the Gadget Man. See, I thought that was the shtick, and I just had to know more. That's all I know. I just know I've earmarked him to figure out. I'm obsessed, as you may have figured out, Ken, with downloading and archiving like our vintage commercials. I love finding old commercials. So I'm sure I can track down some Stan the Man commercials for the Gadget guys, because somebody out there remember. It's crazy. It was all new to me though. Didn't know anything about the Gadget guy. That was new.
And he was probably really well known for like 6 months or something, because I was unfamiliar with him too. They mentioned he got his own pilot for syndication called Can Stan Can. A show offering advice for indoor and outdoor living, and he's mostly focuses on antique vacuums. Okay,
it's aged well. It's aged well, folks. I want to tell you,
he found his niche. Then we get this is the article about the Super Bowl blitz those psyches, and you're right.
Know what's going on in this article?
Bizarre, unclear sort of tactic for this article.
So the Super Bowl actually has a lot of drama. And again, I remember it enough. And then, of course, I've gone down the rabbit hole to make sure my brain wasn't broken. So this is the Cowboys versus the Broncos. And Roger Staubach versus Craig Morton, who had been on the Cowboys before. He was the backup. It was a 2-quarterback thing, and they actually used to trade them out for plays, all this drama. Now they're going to meet in the Super Bowl, and all this actual intrigue and interesting concepts and things that could be built into the advertisement. The article's not dealing with any of that, just so you guys know. Joe Namath is mentioned by name. I don't know why. It's like he was in the Super Bowl like 10 years earlier. It's not even relevant. So, yeah, this was a kind of... I thought from the cover it was going to be a lot about the first primetime game.
Sure.
It'll be on TV. It's back in the Superdome and a lot more of that hypey hype stuff. That is not what this article is at all. So that was really strange.
It's written as like a novelty almost, and they talk a lot about Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah,
people would know now. But I one of my social theories is that the rise of very partisan politics tracks exactly with the rise of televised team sports nationally, and this kind of tracks with that, because I always surprise people when I'm like, kind of nobody really cared that much about football till like around this time, and then into the 80s. Like, this is the first primetime Super Bowl. This is like a big deal. And the biggest ratings for sports before this were bowling and wrestling. It was individual sports that were easy to film with lockdown cameras, because baseball was radio. It was like, this is a radio thing. Like, even when they would put it on TV, there were people who were like, you listen to baseball on the radio. That's what you do. It was like really hard to break one of these into, we didn't have our hockey night in Canada until Monday Night Football kind of was a massive thing. So it's a weird snapshot of a time that seems quaint.
Yeah. So this, and I would say between this and then the next like 3 to 5 years is where TV really evolved. And I remember very vividly The Miracle on Ice, right, in 1980. Saturday afternoon baseball was a thing. Like, that was a big deal. Like, I always joked about, we had Saturday morning cartoons, which was oddly this time where people would just somehow tell parents that it was okay to pop your kid in front of the television pretty much all day if they wanted to. So whatever time of the year it was sometimes it was baseball, it would be creature feature, it'd be sci-fi, martial arts, whatever that time of the year was. And then you had, like, the baseball all-star game was also a big deal, because you would see the players that you knew were good, but they weren't anywhere near your market. So it was the only time of the year you would see these players. That was a big televised thing, and obviously World Series. So I don't think, again, maybe it's because I spent too much time in the South at that point, that I didn't really have any hockey, anything other than, like, the Wayne Gretzky phenomenon. I don't really remember even following hockey of any, like, religious, obviously Gretzky was an everyday thing. Every day you're waking up to see how many goals and assists this guy had. It was just a phenomenal experience to live through. And then this is how it was, except that growing up in Indiana, you had a little bit of the NBA bug, and that was because of the Larry Bird Magic thing was happening at the exact same time. So that's where that kind of was birthed out of. But even then, that was really like the Sunday game, the NBA All-Star game and playoffs. So yeah, it is definitely an evolution that is worth noting, and it is interesting to see how it has impacted culture so dramatically, for sure. It's just a completely different world. Yeah.
Made everything look at as like us versus them, sort of winner and loser sort of team.
Team sports,
I got my 100%. Team. And it, skewed growing up in Boston, because to your point, you would get regional, like your team would show on TV, but like not as much national stuff. But here, everything felt like it was national, because we had the Sox, the Celtics, and the Bruins, which are huge, which I really only knew because Friends of Eddie Coyle takes place for a good scene in a Bruins game. So it is very strange how we have these like little pockets. And to your point, like, there were players you'd heard of, but you'd like never seen play, which sounds insane. Yeah. Like, I'll check it out.
But when you would see these moments, though, this is why some of us older folks, we have them, they're etched in our brain. Like, I remember watching Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs in a game. Watched it happen, right? I remember the Miracle on Ice. Even though I'm like this child, like, it's like because it was an event. It's almost like man walking on the moon kind of stuff. Like it's
Sure.
it was, you didn't get to see stuff like this, and then you see it, and it literally has this massive impact. All the adults are reacting like this is incredible, and you're like, I guess it's incredible. I mean, and then you look back, you're like, yeah, it was pretty incredible. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Glad I saw that. You know.
Yeah, and well, at the time, I'll likely never be able to see this again, so I'm going to like absorb as much of this as possible at this time, because I'm not going to tape it. It's not going to be on again. And then I pull up Saturday night here, and there's Bruins Canadiens because it's the Boston edition. So, case in point. So what jumped out at you here on Saturday night?
Let me get over to Saturday night, make sure I'm on the right page, because I got to make sure I get to. Is this where I give a little bit of love for Saturday morning cartoons? Cause
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my favorite.
I mean, I am just, and I still, if again, I'm on YouTube, folks, and I love taking. So I've taken public domain stuff that I can use, like Max Fleischer, Superman, and Looney Tunes, and recreated with old cartoons. These little Saturday morning with pops. I'm on my 3rd month, so I'll be putting that out here soon, and it's just a fun way to say, listen, it was. I mean, there were so many back to back to back. Whether you were watching Hanna-Barbera stuff, you were watching superhero, Super Friends stuff, it didn't matter. You were just obsessed. I actually don't know, Ken, how I watched everything, but it feels like you watched everything, and I guess
all 3 networks.
I don't even know how. It had to have done enough reruns of syndication over the course of our time that you just absorbed it all. But I looked at the list, and I'm like, I couldn't have been watching 3 channels at the same time. I don't even know that's how possible. But I knew that I was watching all these things. So.
Of course. Yeah, I mentioned this on the show before, but my parents wanted me to play t-ball because I was very antisocial and not very sports, not in love with sports. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. But you have to buy a VCR and I can tape Saturday morning cartoons. So they did. And I started taping. I was like an NBC kid and then moved to CBS. And then I think I got kicked out of T-ball after like a month. So when I finally got home, I would watch one network, tape the other. And I had a little black and white TV that I had on the other side of the living room. And I would kind of go, it was like wow. Missile Command, like down there. But I recognize that's unusual.
MTV's remote control was literally in Ken's childhood bedroom, watching all of the channels all the time.
Gotta get him
move, whatever it would take.
It's a commercial. I gotta go over here. But it's funny seeing like that cyclical stuff in culture and seeing this on YouTube more. Like the embracing of watch-alongs and people watching stuff live as a group, and that's what this was. Like it was the only time in the week that you had programming that was just for you as a kid. Like, this is for you only, which the novelty of that was just amazing. Each network had their own kind of flavor and would also usually have like either host segments or interstitials that kind of made it feel like an event. Yeah. And so that became lost for a long time. And I do see so many people sort of longing to sort of recreate that thing again, because that like we're all watching the same thing at the same time is it's just something about it that is you can't get anywhere else. Like there's no other. It's a very unique thing.
There's so many tribal instincts that are built into that we're robbing our children of. And I know this sounds crazy, folks, but it's like you'd go to school and you'd be chatting about. So all of your differences didn't matter. It didn't matter who the rich kid was or the athletic kid was. If you were talking about Scooby-Doo and Laugh Olympics and you were talking about Super Friends and you were talking about, HR Puff and stuff, nobody cared about, fighting and bullies over dodgeball and whatever. So losing that now, and people can just stream and stream and stream, I think there is something lost to that. And I will say, I'm going to cling to the hope and scream at the clouds that one of these services, well, you know what, let's have a radical idea, and then we're just going to have this crazy event thing that we do on our streaming services for children on Saturday, and see if it flies. I don't even know if it would. But I would say the other thing that's shocked me, going into the commercial part of all that, it is no surprise that we are all fat and obese Americans.
Oh, yes.
We were programmed with cereal commercials, McDonald's commercials, Pop-Tart commercials,
Hostess.
more cereal. It is. I have whole segments of the shows with all the commercials. I'm telling you, 70 to 80% of it is stuff bad for children to eat. And then you factor in the toys. which they targeted later on. But it's like, I mean, that was all it was. It's beautiful marketing, and it's beautiful nostalgia. If you've never done it, folks, I'm telling you, enjoy it.
It's American capitalism at 24 frames per second.
It was amazing.
It you know, and like eating cereal, like to this day, I like had to cut cereal out of my diet, sugary cereals, but like the pleasure of like, even on a Saturday, you just have a bowl of cereal and watching some random cartoons. It's like just so nice. It's just
I can't even imagine. I've got cereal and Pop-Tarts finally out of my diet. They're not even in the house. I can't even imagine. I don't even want to do it because I would eat a bowl of Lucky Charms, like just refill her back up again. Let's do it again. Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
I would hoard my Monster cereals all year. Here's the one time. Speaking of Star Wars, curious if you watched Space Academy and what was on. So this is one of Filmation's live action shows. They did sort of two influenced by Star Wars. There's this and Jason of Star Command. These are both sort of more Star Trek than Star Wars, but they definitely were promoting them as if they were more Star Wars. Right. The strange live action world of Saturday morning was pretty interesting at this time as well.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I had a big affinity for them. I remember seeing them. I remember enjoying more Japan's live action stuff that would cross over for us, like Ultraman. Mm-hmm. That stuff really made, because it aligned with the monster stuff, right?
I don't know. Oh, you can't see it. Can you see over there? I commissioned someone to make an Elvis bust, but it's Ultraman.
Oh, that's awesome.
Here, I'll show it to you.
Little Ultraman. I see Godzilla back there.
Yeah, I got Godzilla, but this is my Ultraman Elvis bust.
Oh yeah, look at that. He's great. He's got the hair going on.
Yeah, I was like, beautiful. I had to go. Yeah, I'm a big Ultraman guy. That stuff was amazing, and unlike anything we had here,
right?
You know, live action cartoon basically.
And I loved all of the Americanized versions, as we come to find out later. Battle of the Planets, and just, I mean, I just loved all that stuff. I would really, and I've got all the kids addicted to that. They're all the grandkids are watching all that kind of stuff. So, but I guess we had to get to this schedule, though. Don't we?
Yeah, let's jump in there. Is there anything you showed your grandkids that you loved on Saturday mornings when you were a kid that either you were shocked that they really loved or you were surprised that they couldn't get into?
My kids would not ever get into Muppet stuff. So the Muppet shows was a complete dud, and it just was always weird to me. The Muppet thing never worked for my kids. The grandkids have they're just probably too young to get the quirkiness of Rocky and Bullwinkle. That's probably been the biggest dud so far. It's just too weird and quirky for the jokes. We don't allow them to watch, like, again, parenting thing. Don't let them watch stuff for like 12 hours in a row, guys. You'll go nuts. Because these theme songs keep replaying, right?
Yeah.
But I've got them all hooked on all of that old school stuff. That's just all the Disney's kind of put away. They can watch it anytime they want. When they come here and they're spending the nights, they're here for a while. I mean, they're addicted to like Wacky Races and Aardvark and the Ant.
Oh,
and, what's the new? Oh, I got them all the spinoffs. So for Christmas, we got them the Penelope Pit Stop and the Dick Dastardly Muttley shows. We got them. So all of that is where they're at, and they keep spinning their wheels each trip with adding a new one here and adding a new one there. We just got the box set of Jetsons and things that they had never seen, so we keep introducing more. But when they come and they ask, "Hey, Pops, can you turn on Mighty Mouse for me?" or it just melts your heart. You're like, "Yes, what else do you need, kid? We pay for your college tuition right now?" Because that's how you get things, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't feel old probably because it's a cartoon. Like if it's not in black and white, like they don't necessarily track that it's not new. You know, like it's sort of the same.
And then we got them liking Addams Family really well. I don't know that we've got them watching a lot of other black and white live action yet, but we're trying to work that in as well. But yeah, Addams Family stuck. They liked Adam. They watched about 4 or 5 episodes in a row before we switched. So
one of the best Christmas episodes ever. Yeah, just the best. I was an Addams Family over Munsters. Munsters looked cool and was disappointing because it was sort of just a regular sitcom. But the Addams Family was in a whole different level. Yeah,
I love Addams Family too.
Saturday night, what are you doing?
Bob Newhart. It's not a great episode. Bob's not really in this one. It's Emily camping with the dad, and it's fine. It's an interesting episode for what it is, but I love Bob Newhart stuff. Both this version and the later version are fine. I don't have really a qualm. Bill Daly, I don't think gets any credit. He really is really good playing these straight jokes. They're really done well. Following that up with
Barnard Hughes plays her dad, I should mention, who is always like, I always like seeing him and stuff.
Probably flipping the channel a little bit with Bionic Woman. It'd be hard not to kind of flip because the Bob Newhart episode's a little dry, so I'd probably flip over to see what Lindsay Wagner's doing. But yeah, it'd be tough to say no to Bob Newhart going back. Probably would have watched it.
And no Tabitha. I have never met anyone who really loved Tabitha.
I don't even remember enough of Tabitha to really explain why I don't watch Tabitha. I didn't watch it enough to say I didn't watch it. That's all I know.
It sort of took the things you loved about Bewitched and got rid of them. So Tabitha's like in her 20s. It's very 70s. The witch stuff is sort of not as fun. It just, for whatever reason, like they tried to sort of discofy it, and it just didn't work.
Totally fair. Now, The Jeffersons is a must for me as well. I absolutely adore The Jeffersons. We'll get to some of the others that are like this. I will say this was actually another episode that I wish was a little bit better. This is the one where Lionel lost the job, so they bring him in. It's a lot more of, I love to use that giant word, that quarter word, verisimilitude. Like, it's one of those, it doesn't fit real life. So once it doesn't break with real life, you're kind of like, look, if his dude is smart enough to be an engineer, he's not going to be this much of a dummy when it comes to business. And he goes out there and he's just blowing through all of George's money. And anyway, I was hopeful because our favorite episode is the Billy D. Williams one. So I wanted your take. The Billy D. Williams one is just epic. My goodness.
Yeah. It's everything you want in the Jeffersons. It's like George being the most George. In the show is a farce, but to your point, like sometimes it made sense. Like sometimes that show could click like Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of farce and misunderstandings, but most of the time it was like come on, that's not gonna work. Even in the moment you're questioning it as a kid, but the Billy Williams one is like a prime example of one that really everything's sort of firing on all cylinders.
If we can cue up Marla Gibbs for some gags, we're going to be doing just fine because she is just absolutely just a joy.
She delivers.
I don't know that I really liked anything in the 9:30 spot, so I don't know if I would flip back over and see what's going on with Starsky and Hutch or not. Maybe Police Story's on, so that's usually, in hindsight, I'd probably watch a lot more Police Story, but I'm not sure as a kid I would have watched any Police Story. But I've enjoyed Police Story that I have seen now, but don't know that I've had it on the radar screen when I was young.
Wolfman Jack is in this episode.
I know.
And the plot is sort of ripped from the headlines today. A Chicago cop risks his life to end the brutal exploitation of illegal aliens.
I know, wild.
Like nothing's changed, which is very strange.
There's a lot in this whole TV guide that feels like it could be 2026, to be honest. There's a lot of TV shows and some themes, and you're like, maybe we should get as bent out of shape as we are, because 50 years later it's the same stuff.
We haven't changed a thing.
Not much.
Starsky and Hutch is one of those shows that I hated as a kid because it felt so 70s, but like really somewhat recently, like in the last 10 years, I've gone back and watched them and really loved them and see how intentionally funny they are. And they really are. Like there's some really funny stuff in that show. I think I like Starsky and Hutch, but I'm not 100% sure if I can say that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of back and forth on it as well. And again, it's more of watching it now than then. I don't remember really being into a lot of those crime shows like this one or Beretta, Pick Street San Francisco. I don't remember really watching them regularly. I don't know that I had any opposition to watching them really, but yeah. So, man, a lot of smoking stuff, a lot of crazy ad stuff going on. I don't even know. It was like, man, a lot of crazy stuff. So
socket wrenches and quitting smoking. And it's after the purview, but Love Boat that night is so insane. I feel the need to read the plots because this sounds like a parody joke of a Love Boat that I would make up. But it's the first story. A thieving chimp almost wrecks Gopher's love life. Like that, you're hitting two things right there. Isaac is scandalized by his mother, played by Pearl Bailey, a widow taking a cruise with her live-in boyfriend. And a pair of feuding lounge performers, played by Nanette Fabray and Don Adams, are reunited for a show. Like, this is everything you'd want in a Love Boat episode. Chimps.
It is epic. Folks, if you don't have, so again, if maybe you're not like us and we own some of this stuff, right? That's fine. Tubi, Pluto TV, they have all this stuff for free. It's pretty rare you can't find these things. I had to track this episode down. I always had an issue with the spontaneous chimps and monkeys in shows. Like, it always was like, this is dumb. It's so I was like, all right, I can't not watch this show and then talk to Ken about it. It's like, this is too much. Then Don Adams is in it. How could I not want to watch to see what kind of craziness he's in this? And I will say, I was kind of let down. First off, the chimp isn't even in. The chimp is literally like walked on the boat in a bag, and Julie sees all this and doesn't. Anyway, the chimp. What is not mentioned in this?
They skipped on the chimp.
You didn't cut. It's a kleptomaniac chimp. Okay.
Yeah.
The chimp is going around stealing stuff like from everybody, like a brooch, and has a there's a closet gag where there's a whole closet of stuff collapsing, and you're like, this.
Like, they're pitching it, and they're like, how about a chimp? And they're like, what else? He's a kleptomaniac? Okay. Like, now it's interesting.
Yeah, that'll work.
He's going to steal stuff, fine.
So, anyway, it got us on the Love Boat thing. We watched the 2-part, 3-hour season 3 premiere that had Mark Harmon in it. And Lauren Green is there with Mrs. Roper. And I just want to say in that episode, I don't know how many people kissed on poor Mark Harmon because he was young and kind of cute. But there's a lot of ladies kissing on Mark Harmon in this episode. So it got us down the crazy Love Boat train. If there are a lot of crazy stuff happening on these Love Boat episodes, man, I tell you what.
Yeah, it's very swinging 70s. And before we move on to Sunday, I do want to mention at 11:15, The Invaders is on. It's a rerun, obviously, because the show ended. But I feel like The Invaders, just from a sci-fi perspective, does not get nearly enough love and credit for, I think it's only 2 seasons, Larry Cohen, but it's very ahead of its time. And I think like the themes of it would be very influential on a lot of 80s and 90s stuff. And it's strange that a lot of people haven't gone back and sort of rediscovered the Invaders to me.
That's fair. And I will admit, I have to give you credit again for a show you did, and it got me down the Danger Man secret agent rabbit hole because I had never seen Prisoners yet, and I haven't worked my way along enough of it. I haven't. Wow. And Invaders is in that same category. It's like I wrote a little note next to that because you were I didn't know if you'd praise it or not. So I was like, all right, I don't remember this show. So now I'm like, okay, let me put that on the radar screen as something to go back to.
It's great. It's very paranoid. It's very like X-Files-y, while still being sort of like The Fugitive and some of the contemporary shows. But there's some very interesting sort of, it's sort of a sci-fi version of a lot of the 70s paranoia movies, like the Conversation and Blowout, but like with aliens.
Okay. Blowout with aliens. You have me watching.
Yeah.
I'm good. I love Blowout. Like Blowout is a remarkable filming. I wish I could just figure out how to fix that silly parade chase better than anything. I love Blowout. Blowout's great.
Yeah. Everything about it's great.
I can't not at least address the skinny suit in the room ad.
This thing's nuts.
If I could read, the second paragraph says, "How does it work? Skinny Scoot fits like a second skin from just under your bust line to just about your knees. Made of no-nonsense material, it holds you in while you take off inches initially by displacing tissue fluid, where ugly inches build up around your waist and tummy areas." I was like, OMG, who signed up for that? I mean, yeah, it just keeps going. The absurdity of this for only $14.95, Ken.
It's a rubber suit. And it says you'll lose 6 to 9 inches in 3 days.
I don't even know what happens to the fluid when you're squeezing that much of your body. And it tells you that's what it's doing. That's the crazy thing.
Yep. Oh, yeah. We're just going to squeeze you until 9 inches of your body is gone in 3 days. That sounds like a recipe for hospitalization.
Man, I tell you.
There is an ad, I don't know if these were regional or not, but Smith Brothers cough drops, these were the greatest candy of all time. I love these things. And kids here would often fake sick so you could get a pack of the wild cherry ones.
That is awesome.
No,
I don't know anything about those.
They're so good. They're basically lifesavers, but you can only get them if you were sick, which is strange. Yeah, there's also a thing in here for like weight loss tea, and then this thing called an Astro Trimmer, guaranteed to reduce your waist and abdomen 4 to 8 inches in just 3 days. So again, it's like the same thing. They're all different ads. Yeah, so unhealthy.
I have to admit, there are little things along the way. I enjoyed the fact that there's plenty of like Hardy Boys and Match Game and stuff. I'm like, I just love these things. They're glorious from my past. So
Yeah, there's a lot of good
before I got to the 8 o'clock slot. So
there's a lot of good like homesick from school stuff. I would call those
a whole
game
day
shows.
of stuff.
Yep.
I was shocked at how much stuff there was on during the daytime. I somehow thought it was mostly in the mornings, but no.
Oh yeah, it's all day. So Sunday, what are you doing?
Oh, well, first off, Super Bowl is playing. So anytime I feel like there is a lag time or a commercial, I will be perfectly honest. Even now, I admit it, I watched it like 1.5 speed. I watched the Super Bowl game. And the best part is that you could Google it, and it had like timestamps. So if you just want to watch some of the key plays, you can skip around, folks.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming this is for most games, not just the one that I wanted to watch. So, a $6 Million Man. How could I not? I love Steve Austin. It's fun. It's been fun to go back. And again, I've gone back to watch 2 of the 3 pilots I'm done, where they are trying to figure out what to make Steve Austin into.
Yeah.
First, he's kind of a dark sci-fi, don't exactly know what to do. Then it's like a James Bond ripoff, which is also not quite right. So I'm on the 3rd one. I haven't watched yet, but I'm like, okay, it took them a little bit to figure it out, and I'm all in on all that for sure.
Yeah, the first one they kind of almost tried to explore what we'd get with like RoboCop later, where they're like, is he losing his humanity? Is he man or machine? And then the people are like, we're not interested in that. Just make him, have superpowers. It's interesting to me too to see what they counter program the Super Bowl with. And it's not as big of a deal here because, now like you put anything on against the Super Bowl, nobody's going to watch it. But a little bit here, and you got like I, Claudius, a rerun of $6 Million Man, the Lou Gehrig, Eleanor and Lou Gehrig story, like just bizarre attempts to sort of counter program the Super Bowl.
I actually watched this Law and Disorder. Carol O'Connor and Ernest Borgnine, sort of like it's a weird film. If you've never seen it, folks, it's comedic for about 3/4 to 80%, and then it has like a really dark ending, and you're like, it's odd and fun in some ways, and then it's also just very strange and disturbing in others. Don't exactly know how to get my head around that one, but it was not a bad watch.
1974. You've described every movie I can think of that Karen Black is in. And she's in this one where you're like,
okay,
sort of comedic, but then also dark, and I don't know how to feel about it. It's like, yep, there's Karen Black movie.
So I think between all of that and just channel surfing amongst it, that would probably get me through until I pass out into Sunday night to Monday.
And you're not buying any 1-cent 8-tracks.
I will have to admit, it did catch my eye, the fact that the 8-tracks had the Columbia House type scam too. This was done through RCA, but I was like, oh, all right. I guess it goes all the way back to 8-tracks. It's not that I didn't know that. It just would not have been something that, if you had asked me, I wouldn't have bet against it being a thing, but I wouldn't have been something I would have thought of.
Right. It's nice to see it right there.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I could pick 6 of these records I would want. I kind of did a quick look, and I'm like, I don't even think there's 6 things I'd want on this list.
I'd have to go back and look again.
Yeah.
8-tracks are tricky, too.
You get Station to Station, David Bowie. I'm like, okay, let me try to find 5 more. Difficult. Monday night, what are you doing?
Well, I mentioned it before. It's the series finale of Logan's Run, so I'm all in. I admit rewatching Logan's Run has been a bit disappointing because it is basically like Star Trek original series. It's not, but it's more fun than the movie. The movie actually is more of a serious dystopian sort of take on things. The TV show is a lot more of just adventure of the week, of them journeying out into the wild. So, I would definitely watch that for sure. And again, like I said, I have to admit I was getting myself in trouble trying to watch any of that I could. It's
funny how many shows, especially things based off movies, they basically were like, it's Route 66 or The Fugitive. That's all they did, just make that the concept, and that's the show. And so that Logan's Run is sort of midway between the two. And I do note that they mention this is the last show of the series, but do you remember if you were aware of that as a kid? Because you didn't always know it was going to end like that. That's such an afterthought. Like, this is the last one.
No, it wasn't even until we got into this digital age that I tried to go back and actually get them or watch them. I didn't even, it's not even something you had to go to a Comic-Con or something to have seen a bootleg DVD or VHS or something. It wasn't. Yeah, it's just not a thing. And half your friends didn't even believe you.
Yeah, there was a TV show.
I kind of remember the movie, and they're like, "What do you mean a TV show?" Sure, there was. Sure, there was. Okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
You had nothing that you could confirm it with, which is again one good reason to keep TV guides. And you passed up the Hee Haw Honeys, which is on at the same time, and I didn't know this. This was a sitcom based around, is a pilot for a sitcom based around the women from Hee Haw who were in sketches. So it was like a scripted half-hour pilot and not a sketch show, which is kind of fascinating. But obviously it wasn't picked up.
I'd have to look. I'm going to make a note of trying to track something down there. I have no context. I just vaguely remember the family, the grandparents, I think, would be the ones watching Hee Haw from time to time. And just completely never being interested. It just never took for me. Not my thing. And I admit, now I'm in a trap too because there's not much on TV. So I'm in a hole where the American Music Awards was probably my next pick because I didn't know what else to do. It's just we're in a bit of a funk on my Monday night for a little bit. I don't really know anything about the Nowhere to Run movie. It has some intriguing elements in its ad, but then as a kid, I would have been like, what's blackjack? I don't even know. As a kid, I would have been like, no, I have no idea what this is nonsense. I'm going to watch people play cards on TV. There's something else to do, for sure. Yeah,
David Jansen plays like a blackjack, I don't know, cheater necessarily, like a hustler, and gets caught. He's an engineer. He engages in an elaborate scheme to make a fortune at blackjack and build a new life. And his unfaithful wife, played by Stephanie Powers. It sounds like it could be like so bad it's good watching or just really boring. Like I feel like there's no in between there. American Music Awards, 1977, top 40 music, not great. Not great. Hosted by Glenn Campbell, Natalie Cole, and David Soul, who had his musical career at this time. But just looking at Aretha Franklin, cool, Crystal Gale, Andy Gibb, Barry Manilow, Ronnie Millsap, Tony Orlando, Dolly Parton, Charlie Pride, Kenny Rogers, and Barry White. Like that's like 80%. No, thank you for me.
But there's a hits medley by Kiss.
That's true, which seems out of place on that.
And that's my whole thing. Like I don't even know when Kiss is going to show up, but I'm always like, check again, no, go back, check again.
Between Tony Orlando and Charlie Pride, you have a bunch of you have a kabuki show. And
I know it sounds crazy. I'm sure we'll get to one, but I bet we can find that show. I found there's another show we'll get to later that I kind of marked. Hopefully I'll remember. I actually showed my wife. It's you'll know what it is. It's the Monte Carlo circus thing.
Okay,
and I was like, I totally forgot about these, and I showed my wife, and it was like a bad VHS transfer. It's really bad, but it's on YouTube, and I was like, honey, she's like, what are we watching? I said, I know. There's 70s. No lighting. It's just.
This was on a network television. It's funny because we're in January, and so they're throwing up a ton of unsold pilots this week too, because it's just sort of a dead time. So there's also the show with Adrienne Barbeau and Kenneth Mars called The Fighting Nightingales, about army nurses. So this was clearly probably to capitalize on MASH doing well, I imagine. But it's a pilot that never sold. And even though it says this pilot isn't going to be a series, it still has like a full quarter-page ad.
Yeah. The spunky army nurses treating the wounded and fracturing the brass.
It sounds so bad.
9:30 on CBS.
Yeah, that's I can tell why that didn't go. Although I love Adrienne Barbeau. Oh, and then before we get to Tuesday night, speaking of ads, just a revolting ad for New England's favorite hash, Prudence. Hey, Mom, what's for lunch? Hash burgers. Chill a can of Prudence corned beef and slice it into 6 patties. Fry them up and top with cheese. And the picture, I'm like, that sounds so gross.
Awful. Yeah.
If my parent did that, I would call child services.
It's rough out there. Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, man. Yeah, Tuesday Tuesday we pick up pretty solid, really solid actually. I have to admit, I loved Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, and in particular, these are two great episodes. These are a blast. So this is Joni's first kiss, and Laverne and Shirley is them saving the horse. And if you've never seen Lenny and Squeaky walk into the room with the horse with the giant hat on, it's the price of admission, man. I'm telling you right now, it just pays off. So yeah, I'm in good hands on Tuesday so far. So that's how I got off to a good start.
There is a 3-hour presentation of Alan Arkin in the movie Escape from Hell. 3 hours! A 3-hour TV
World
movie
premiere
that they're showing all at once. And I love Alan Arkin. I've never heard of this. It seems strange. It's they call it a brilliant new drama in the tradition of Papillion and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I'm like, okay. So it's Alan Arkin in a state hospital for his violent, irrational behavior. And I'm like, how is this 3 hours?
Yeah, I don't know. I earmarked it as something. I didn't get to that one, and I was like, listen, I don't know. I didn't know he could carry 3 hours, but hey, you know, it seems like a nice enough guy. I like a lot of his work, so maybe. No, I did not pick that. I moved on.
Just weird to air a 3-hour movie, too, in primetime. Because Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days, to your point, like, nothing's beating those in the rating in 1978.
Oh, they're
like,
rocking, man. They're rocking definitely the top of the list, for sure.
And then Three's Company. Like, Tuesday nights was ABC. Like, you're not even competing.
Yeah, and I have to admit I was in a quandary a little bit with some MASH up against them, but you know I'd probably end up watching Three's Company, obviously. But it takes me to the bottom half of the hour. I get Soap, which man, I've been watched Soap so many times. It's on Tubi for free, folks. I don't even have to get paid for these plugs. It's been on Tubi for free. I figured it was just a temperate. Now I've gone back and benched it again before I could buy my own physical copy now. So, yeah.
And it was hard to see for a long time. Like a huge show, really popular for like a blip. And then you couldn't see it for years. I remember Comedy Central made a huge deal out of having reruns of it in like the early 90s because you hadn't been able to see it forever. Like Benson, way easier to see than Soap. Yeah. So just the novelty of being able to pull that up and watch it whenever you want is kind of insane.
And I used to... So the summers was even more free range, right? So like I was a kid that as long as I got good grades, I was getting away with murder. So this is again way later in life. So this is more like middle school and then definitely into high school. I could easily stay up till 2-3 in the morning. No one even cares. And Soap would run for like 2 hours overnight, like between like 1 and 3 or something. We just play one episode after another. It was crazy. So I was addicted to watching Soap during some of those summers for sure. 100%.
And watching that show at 2 a.m. as a kid has to be like, did I just see that? Because it's such a strange show. That's like kind of the perfect weird half asleep time to watch a lot of that stuff.
Always got you closer to some other weirdo friend. Like there's some other, hey Ken, did you watch Soap? Yeah, I stayed up. Did you stay up?
Yeah.
Did you?
And you're like,
a weird episode.
We're friends now.
Yeah, I know.
And there was a ventriloquist.
So now we're like totally like, you feel like you're watching, like you snuck into a rated R movie. Yeah. Like you're like, what is happening? It was 2 in the...
I don't think we're supposed to watch that.
No, I know.
Before we move on to Wednesday, I do just scrolling. I noticed that on Tom Snyder's Tomorrow Show at 1 a.m, Mickey Spillane is the guest. Mickey Spillane joins other detective mystery writers. And I'm like... As a huge Mike Hammer, hard-boiled detective noir guy, I would love to see 1978 Mickey Spillane interviewed by Tom Snyder. I'm going to see if I can find that because that's got to be entertaining.
Yeah, that's got to be some crazy stuff. Some of these shows, man, especially the middle of the night shows like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you get into some of that, it's just, yeah, it is crazy to see. Where are we at?
Oh, Wednesday. The Circus Festival of Monte Carlo, the 4th International.
Yeah. This was rough, but before we got there, we had Good Times, right? So Good Times is on at 8. Love that episode. It's a fun, goofy, fun post Esther Roll John Amos era. So it's really not good times. It's okay good times. And it's more like just cheesy fun.
It's the JJ
so it was
show.
Fine. Yeah, just but it's at least fun. But yeah, the circus is kind of my gap filler before I get to Charlie's Angels because I'm kind of trapped. I love that. The Charlie's Angels episode is actually kind of fun. I like that one, actually. But this circus thing is a wild ride, man. I tell you what. It was on YouTube as well. Bad VHS transfer, no lighting. Yeah. Okay.
It's
That's the
insane.
thing, I guess, for Americans.
It's hosted by John Davidson and Brenda Vaccaro. This is the 4th annual one. They're judges. I don't know why it needed judges, but so it's sort of like the World Circus Awards, I guess, would be kind of the way that they're competing. And some of the acts, the finalists are U.S. trapeze artist Dolly Jacobs and her father, 75-year-old clown Lou Jacobs, Jack Roden's chimpanzee act from Sweden, the Carrillo brothers, Colombian daredevil aerialists, and a tightrope walking elephant from Switzerland. Presiding over the ceremonies are Prince Rainier and Princess Grace of Monaco, and one of the judges is Cary Grant.
Yeah, it is, and they literally open with like flying around and getting off the airplane, and we're landing in Nice, but it's spelled like nice, and that's what it is, folks. It's nice, and you're like, what are we watching? It is,
Yeah,
and it's wild. It is
Grace
just because it's just like bad circus stuff with bad lighting, and you're like, I don't even understand. And I guess there has to just be kind of like Love Boat, right? It's that exotic American scene stuff that they don't get to see and don't know if they'll ever see again. That's all I got for it. I don't get it.
Mixed with that stars of old Hollywood. So you have Grace Kelly, and Cary Grant, like they're not hot with the youth, but like, someone who was a young person in the 50s and 60s is going to be impressed by Cary Grant and Princess Grace on this circus show and probably tune in.
Well, once we got to 9:30, I could get my family to switch over to watch the entertainment of the year so I could see Jackie Gleason.
Yes.
He makes me laugh. And he's crucial to my channel because I've back-end accidentally found Jackie Gleason content that got me a lot of people to find my channel. I have no idea how that happened by accident, folks, but you cover Smokey Abandoned on the right time in the right place, the algorithm picks it up and you run with it. And it is a blast. And it's sort of just silly nostalgia that at least reads more fun than the other music awards, because at least I get music that I'd heard of and I know he's funny. So that's probably how I get there. Even though I might switch over and watch some Police Woman. It's a little tricky going back. And I know Police Story, again, is on later on at midnight and stuff. These are the kinds of things I'd watch now. Back then, I probably wouldn't have watched. But yeah.
Jackie Gleason, that's a pretty good bang for your buck on that night, though. Like Tootie Fields of Facts Life is on. But you also got like Milton Berle, Joey Heatherton, Rich Little, Steve Martin, Dolly Parton. Like, this is a better lineup than the American Music Awards.
Yeah, way better. Yeah, way better than the other one. For sure.
And the Charlie's Angels that night is Dan O'Herlihy. Speaking of RoboCop, is a retired cat burglar. This is the Cheryl Ladd era of Charlie's Angels. Still the hugest show.
It's a fun episode. I don't know. Jacqueline Smith's got her little backless dress, and she's seducing Sid Haig. Sid Haig is. Yes. I love Sid Haig as a heavy back in the day. He's pretty solid, man.
He tries
to play it straight too, and they start dancing, like formal dancing. It's really pretty funny.
Sid Haig pops up in way more TV than you'd think he would. He pops up in a Just the 10 of Us episode later as a janitor. It's really funny and weird in like 1989. And Steve Ladisberg is on the Entertainer of the Year, and I will again watch him do anything. I love Steve Ladisberg. Where are we? Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday's got some traps along the way. I love Welcome Back, Kotter, even for all of its goofiness. The Term Paper episode is got this absolutely awful Travolta delivery line, and then it's followed up with like a great Travolta gag. Like, it's just most episodes are like this anyway. They're kind of like these roller coaster rides. And no one in the room says, hey, listen, that didn't work at all. We needed to redo that or rewrite. No, they didn't do that. They just deliver. So it's fine. It's not as solid as some of the earlier episodes, but it's fine.
But again, by this time, Travolta's a big star. He's still on this show, and I think that he could do one take whatever and they wouldn't question him, because it's like people are going to tune in to watch it regardless because he's on it.
The one line is really bad, but there's a gag. But him playing up the gag with, he's supposed to be writing a term paper, and it was like on the Irish potato famine, and he's talking about how the something don't have French fries or something, and it was done. It actually was pretty funny, but. Problem is I followed that up with Fish because I didn't know what else to do. I don't really care for Fish at this point. Yeah. It was just like, I don't know. I never really cared for it as a kid, But the problem is I'm up again, like the State of the Union's on, Doctor Who is on, but I've never been a big Whovian, so I can't pretend that I'd watch it. I actually didn't mind Barnaby Jones as a kid, so I'd probably watch that at 10. So the worst part of this whole thing for me, Ken, is I got to Thursday night and there's a nice big Carol Burnett ad, and I'm like, "Where's Carol?"
Yep.
Oh, Carol Burnett was on like 4 hours ago. What?
Yeah. It was
why is there an ad?
syndication? Yeah, I know it's too late by this point if you're watching, flipping through the TV guide in real time. Yeah, Fish is interesting because I'm a huge Barney Miller fan, and Fish is it's a classic case of side character, little goes a long way, and the Fish show just doesn't work. Like, it's too much of them. Like, pairing them up with kids is weird. Like, everything I liked about Barney Miller is sort of not present in the Fish show. But there's a weird show here called Class of 65. And I'd never heard of it before, but it's a drama, and Anne Francis and Cliff DeYoung are in it. So it's, I guess, 1978 to the class 65, so they'd be 30-something people, and it sounds like a 30-something type drama, because it goes, the class beauty must come to grips with the reason for her sexual unresponsiveness, the advances of her late father.
I know. What was going on with this show?
Like, what is this in 1978? And it's not like they're, that's on a network, that's the big name people like that. I'd never heard of that in my life, and that shocked me reading that one.
I agree. I saw that and was like, I don't know what that is, and I feel like I'm getting into something that might be inappropriate for even my brain. So I thought, well, I'm not going to circle that one.
Barnaby Jones, it is. Buddy Epson can do no wrong.
Yeah, I can just go with the safe track. That's just an easier play to go.
Jed Clampett gonna solve some crimes.
maybe.
And final night of the week, the big Love Boat night.
Yeah, Love Boat's solid, right? Let's see. 8 o'clock Friday, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's on there, right? We got Wonder Woman. Friday had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, even before 8, like, I always love In Search Of. I'll watch an In Search Of at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre because literally it'll be like Bigfoot, Amityville Horror. And then this one is Leonard Nimoy goes in search of ways to prevent the devastation of hurricanes. Like, okay.
I would see I could track that down, how that is aged for us slowly.
Yeah, I'm sure,
that seems kind of a fun one to check out for sure. Yeah, but there's even like a random Abbott and Costello on at 7:30. Of course, Match Game I mentioned earlier.
Oh, I do want to mention, sorry to interrupt you, the Wonder Woman episode that night stars a good friend of the show, Melanie Chardoff. And this is ripped from the headline story about a defecting Russian gymnast played by Melanie in this episode. And her evil boyfriend / trainer is Rick Springfield.
Rick Springfield, that's right. Jesse's girl, baby. Wonder Woman's on it, though. Wonder Woman's on it. So, yeah, I kind of had to dance around a little bit through my 8:30 slot. And there's that giant ad on that page for the Bug movie.
Yep.
So that was where Bug comes into play. It puts me in conflict with my Return to Fantasy Island special, which comes on as well. So I have a whole evening of some channel flipping, surfing around a little bit. And I will admit, Fantasy Island is definitely a lot darker and intense than I somehow remember. I don't know why my images are so much more lighthearted. We've watched several of these little movies and episodes, and my wife can always come away like, man, this is a lot more intense than I remember. And I will admit that my family was just obsessed with watching this. Why I just constantly remember it being on. But I don't know how much I just watched back. It's like I watch one and I got to take a break. It's a lot. These episodes have a lot of interesting social commentary and stuff going on for sure.
It's like 4 movies at once. And it definitely got lighter later. Like after Hervé Villachez left, not that he was the one making it heavy, but I think they realized it was more of like a family show. So when they had like Wendy Shaw and Christopher Hewitt on, like they got a little bit more comedic with the stories. But the ad looks like the ad for the movie The Final Program or like A Clockwork Orange. This full page. The font is weird. Before I dig into what the plots are in this episode, I do want to mention that the description of Bug has maybe my favorite 4 words to ever start a description of anything. to start the description of this movie, and it says, "Giant incendiary beetles terrorize." You could have anything after those words and I'll watch it. Giant incendiary beetles terrorize, and this is a California community. But really, anything after that's going to be entertaining.
It's a wild thing. Their photo ad from the page before says, "Earthquake unleashes crawling terror."
It's true, and it does.
For a good 20, 30 minutes, it's actually pretty solid. And it's got some moments. And there's a couple deaths here and there that are actually pretty good. But the latter half of that movie is pretty rough. But yeah, some wild concepts from my childhood I didn't realize, for sure. And I will admit, I didn't really realize until I saw the bug ad. I looked over and realized that the Return of the Seven was on at 8. I didn't even realize that.
Speaking of
Wonder Woman
Westworld.
was in jeopardy as well. For at least a flip over every now and again to check that out. So
This is Return of Fantasy Islands. This is the sequel to the first TV movie. The hopefuls, a husband plays by Horst Buchholz, and his amnesiac wife, Karen Valentine, a romantic executive, and his boss, played by Adrienne Barbeau, and a married couple who want to see the 12-year-old daughter they gave up for adoption at birth. Like, that's not fun.
oh, it's rough. And then Mr. Rourke's messing with them all. So like, the couple that wants to see their kid, he brings out 3 kids and never tells them. They're not allowed to say anything to the kids. The kid, it's so stressful. And then it wraps, and they still don't have resolution. There is no closure. And then Adrienne Barbeau is this like wickedly mean girl boss from the 70s. Like, for instance, there were girl. I mean, she is just this crazy, and this poor guy is simping for her, being treated badly. And Mr. Rourke has set up this whole set of schemes for her, like, to be kidnapped, and how he has to be like the Prince Charming and all that. It's so, and it's still very smarmy at the end. Like, yeah, I don't know, I might like give him a chance. I might not fire. I mean, like, it was still very much like, dude, you are still not in after this whole Fantasy Island. They still didn't work for you. So
I still am, in my heart of hearts, think that Rourke was the devil. And everybody's like, oh, but Roddy McDowall was the devil. I'm like, that's what Rourke wants you to think, because he's the devil. 100% the devil.
I feel like it's almost like monkey's paw, right? It's always like, careful what you really want is the message of Fantasy Island. And I don't know who the person pulling the monkey paw strings are. So King of the Monkey Paw is the best way to understand Fantasy Island. I'm not sure he's God or devil, but it's definitely a lot more of a heavy analysis of social commentary and it's not just this one that we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
We've watched several. That's my big takeaway. And again, my other big takeaway is how much I actually adore everything Ricardo Montalban is.
Yes.
I literally, anytime I see him in anything, I immediately want to jot down 3 or 4 things I either haven't seen or want to find or something and revisit. And that's kind of where this left me as well.
I don't know if it's still the case, but friends are telling me there's a Ricardo Montalban theater in Pasadena, I think, or Southern California. And he recorded the introduction, like, welcome to the Ricardo Montalban, please no, like that whole thing. And they still play it, like at the beginning of the things, or they had up until recently, if they're not now. And it's like super weird because he's been dead for like 30 years. It's like Ricardo, which is very Mr. Rourke of him to do that in that weird way.
Yeah, he just kind of lives on, for sure.
You can't kill Ricardo Montalban. He's always going to be. There's also a pilot for Robert Conrad in Confessions of the DA Man. Yeah, Robert Conrad got a lot of work, and he's not a bad actor, but that surprises me.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange stuff. There was a Hitchcock on. I made a note of that as well. If I happen to had a VCR in my time travel machine to be able to get that at 3:20 or whatever it is in the morning.
Yeah. Then there's a fascinating article in here about government-produced movies. And so this is all like way before people were sort of ironically revisiting like those school, patriotic little shorts, and is this kind of about government films and like sort of government propaganda article. And it's fascinating. It's very weird to read too, because it's like pretty blunt about it.
There's a line that says that there's no systemic way to tell how often government films show up on television or how many people see them, which is one of Lys's chief criticisms. Like, yeah, they're out there. You don't even know how many you've seen. We don't even know. It's like, how could you not know? Like, but yeah, this was an interesting. it was at least conversation of what are we seeing? Who's pulling the strings? How much money are we spending? It was like, it was definitely not something I expected to see in this. It felt like a Reagan era perspective, not this much before that.
Yeah, this is not a Jimmy Carter. Yeah, $350 million annually in television productions or in audiovisual productions for the government. Like, that's in 1978 too. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. They're producing
billions of dollars in our money.
Yes. What is it? Military outposts were making films. Department of Defense had a phenomenal total of 2,033 filmmaking facilities. Like, what? What are they making?
Yeah.
Just nuts. And then we're in the article in here about a Soviet seaman. So this was huge at the time. This sort of defecting from Soviet Russia was really in the air. And there's an article about this here. And even the Wonder Woman episode was about that. I think Baryshnikov had either just defected or it was around this time. It was a weird thing to be sort of in the public sphere. And then another diet product that looks really sketchy, the safe and sensible way to lose weight, the new PVM diet plan. And I don't see them telling us what PVM stands for. It's an acronym. There are periods in between, but it doesn't say what it is. It just calls it PVM.
On the bottom of the bottle, it said protein, vitamins, and minerals.
Oh, there we go.
But it doesn't tell us what any of the vitamins or minerals are.
Nope.
It says you will lose weight because your calorie intake is limited and under under control. It is not due to the PVMs. I'm like, wait, that contradicts the concept of the PVMs.
Right. Why are we taking it? And protein could be anything from chicken to beetles.
Yeah, we don't know. It's those attacking beetles that we saw from the bug movie. Who knows what's in these PVMs?
Incendiary beetles would make you lose weight. I'd go see the Incendiary Beatles play. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It's been great talking to you. And for people that don't know, like, your channel is, if you like this show, you will like your channel on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff that we talk about here that you also have similar obsessions with, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That's Pops, super good guy. As I said, his channel at Pops, P-O-P-S, is on YouTube, and there is something for everyone on there. There's a ton of videos, and you'll find something interesting. A lot of comic book talk, a lot of TV talk. There's a lot of fun stuff on there. So go over there, subscribe to that channel. Subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't already. I know a lot of people don't listen to the show on YouTube, which replaced Google Podcasts, I don't know, 3 years ago now. But I do videos occasionally. If you'd like to see me do more videos, let me know. Otherwise, be here next week, because I will be for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.